I love building stuff with my hands. So this is the space we got to work with. So as you can see, it's quite long and it's not very wide. We've actually only got about 37 centimeters. I'm going to build it full length right up to here, and what that brings it to is about 1555. So I've decided to go for the lockable drawers because it's not always where I'm camping. I could be a slightly downhill or a little bit off on a lean. So you want to make sure you've got drawers, particularly if you want to use them as a kitchen, that they don't just keep sliding with gravity, sliding back into your vehicle. Only using 15 mils plywood, so it's not the construction ply, it's a little bit better quality than the construction ply, and it's also not marine ply. So if you look here, guys, see it's got these nice little patterns in here. Now imagine how nice that would look if I put a nice clear lacquer over the top. So now I've got a pretty good idea how I'm going to make this. We're going to use this Kreg Rip Cut Jig. So how this works, basically the saw just gets mounted in here like so. So virtually now all I do is I use this jig. I know now I've got a nice smooth clean straight cut along here that's very accurate. So this morning I was also working out on the measurements. 1524 total in length is a drawer slide. My initial thoughts of 1555 is about spot on. So what I've done here is I marked these two boards of 1555. So what we got here is the carcass, the bottom and the top. We are now ready to cut our first piece. This jig has done the job with me trusty little Milwaukee circular saw drill. Does that look like a drill? The height of the drawers, we didn't really speak much about that. Now, I took some measurements this morning in order to clear that bit of plastic on the left hand side of my vehicle that covers above that wheel. It's 25 centimeters. So I'm going to go up a bit higher. Decided I'm going to make them 27 centimeters high. Imagine if I go to 30, then it's going to be fairly high up, and by the time I put a stove and a pot up, you'll be out like this cooking. Now let's start cutting. It's going to be 27 high, so what I'll have to do now is deduct the thickness of those panels. So let's cut one more piece now. I've been looking forward to for quite some time, guys, and it's finally here. So what I've done is I've fastened this one down as you saw before, and I've also put this piece on here as well. So you can see where these ones on the inside where I've been able to access, I've put them through on the inside, and I've got two more on the sides there. And on the outside, you've got to bear in mind that once we put the top on here, we're not going to have access on the inside. So those pocket holes are drilled on the outside. I think probably the best thing to do is to give this a bit of a clean up. And I've got some, like a varnish that I'm going to put over the top. So I'll just grab it and show it. Just grab it and show her. And show it, not her. So it's from a company called Cabots, or whatever you pronounce it. Been around for years. I'm sure most of you are very familiar with this. High durability, fast recoat, 2 hours, low odour and non-yellowing. We are going to install the Dunn and Watson 15-24mm long, fully extendable, lockable drawer slides. Assorted fastening devices, which we call screws. Well, I call screws. So it's an 8 gauge by 15. Also bolts and nuts. Can carry 227 kilos. That's when they're closed. Fully extended 150 kilos. How's that? These things will support my weight. So I've got a couple of little spaces, about 1 inch, and that will be enough to clear these screws. We're just going to start and just screwing this down now. Let's go whack one over here. We've got 2 left, so I'm going to use these bolts just to be on the safe side. Perfect. Prove that they work. We've got the other side to mount onto that carcass, and in order to do that we're using the Kreg 720 Pro pocket hole jig kit. Actually, I feel like having a biscuit now. We've got too much work to do. 25 pocket hole joints. How awesome! 25! You watch this, how quick this is to put away. And there's a spot for everything so you don't lose anything. And also we got the hexagonal bit to install. As simple as that. Now we're ready to attach the side of my jaw carcass, even though on the instructions they suggest the 1 inch, but I found the 1 inch was way too short. So we won't need that anymore. I need to add a couple coats of varnish, maybe 3 coats of varnish over the top of this. So what I'm thinking, okay, so you got the drawers going to be mounted like that, so it's going to slide in and out. According to the specs online, these drawers are 19.5, give or take 0.3 of a mil. But why not step the drawer out and come up here? Make the drawer just so it covers just barely the top of the drawer runner, well actually probably an inch higher, and then mount this like so. So that'll give me quite a bit of distance through there, and then I can build some little storage drawers as well as a nice cutting board. Imagine you have a nice cutting board about that so long that just sits on here. It's very critical that this is as accurate as possible, because we don't want any excessive pressure points put on the drawers. For example, wider than it should be, or wider in one spot, more narrow in another spot. So in order to make sure those drawers run smoothly, we have to make sure this measurement is spot on. Now we're ready to cut this timber. I've determined that I need to make this cut 15-15 long. And how I came to that, I measured the length is 15-30. So that's the overall length I need to draw. But remember, I want to add the fascia, a nice front panel that covers the whole front. So I had to take 15 mils off of that. On the planing stage, I talked about how we're going to kind of bring it up straight and then bring it out on an angle and then up like so. So that way it kind of works around the drawer slide. Let's get to measuring out this shorter section of this side wall. I've set this on 13 centimeters. So now we need to cut them down to the right length. The drawer needs to be 15-30 total in length. So remember, I want to do a nice fascia cover on the front. So I've got to take 15 mils off that. So that brings it down to 15-15. I need to take off 15 mil for the piece of timber that goes on the end of the drawer. So that brings it down to 1500 long. So these pieces need to be 1500 long. Now we need to attach this onto the bottom of the internal drawer. I want this to be strong. I suggest to put the pockets between every 6 to 8 inches. So I want to make sure this is well and truly strong enough. So I've chosen 6 inches apart, every 6 inches. Now I don't know if the versions prior to this are as simple to use. I don't imagine they are after watching some of the videos on them with all the adjustments you need to do. The only adjustments you ever need to do on this as you change the thickness of the timber is to adjust the height of this collar sleeve here. Nothing needs to be done here. Kreg has got these pocket hole. See there, it's got one point there that goes into the pocket like so, and then that clamps down onto the bottom. Now we've got to work quick here because it's pretty warm in the garage here. I'm going to cut that little bit of ply that's going to extend out the side and go up to make it a bit wider at the top, mainly for me trays. So it worked out to be 12 centimeters exact. That'll give me around about an inch to play with to fasten on the outside of the side walls, the side panel of the internal drawer, which what I'm going to use is a countersunk bit and some screws and glue. Now you can see what I mean now, how I wanted it to be out a bit this edge. So I've cut that timber down. I had to cut a couple of inches off the end. They were a little bit too long, so I've cut them at 1500 long, similar to what this is. Allowing for, you can see I've allowed a bit of a lip here for that piece on the back to go on. And on the front, it's flush on the front, but I put it back 15 mils so that when I close it, the front of the drawer will be flush with the carcass. Well, you can see now the drawers have actually been put together. I've since also laid some carpet down on the base, and I've put a little divider in the middle. Now hopefully you can see what I mean by having that ledge out. So the drawer runners are going to be running right through along there. So I've widened it out at the top, which left a lip So what I've done is I just used the same ply and I just glued and screwed it on. I used one of those countersunk bits. Pencils. Appears to be the perfect height. We might as well start mounting it in. So we've got some timber screws here. So we're going to use 8 gauge by 15, so they're 15 mils long. Let's put the first screw in. So in order to do this, we need to get this done one at a time. Using those colouring pencils, they're perfect. They were the perfect height. So this could get tricky. See the drawer runners here? I'm not able to access here. Well, push the latch down on the front, release it, and when you do that, and then just move this across, and then you'll see this hole here, and that's what you do. Excuse me, back. You then line this up with the holes, and you can see there's one right there. There we go, see? We've got one right there. So that can be very tricky if you're not familiar with installing these drawers. So you can see how that drawer comes out all the way. One more. So that draws out all the way. So I've had quite a few people ask me, why don't I use the Teflon runners like Drifter does so I can get a wider drawer? Well, not really what I wanted, guys. I wanted drawers that I can pull out all the way so I don't have to dig for to get stuff. So many people now make drawers that only come out 75%, 80% of the way. And I can understand why they do it, because it does help to keep the weight down. It keeps the cost down enormously too, because these drawer slides are quite expensive. I'm going to build the side wing that goes over here.
Very good, Philip.
I went into Bunnings and I bought these right angles, and I was looking around and I like the idea of these. If you have a look at this one, you can see how it's got like a hook there. It's like a picture frame where you put this screw in and you leave about 5 mils of the screw out, and then that hooks on and slides in place. So I bought 2 of these. One's a bit bigger for this area and another one's a smaller one on the other end. That way it doesn't hit up against it when the door closes. So what I've done, that piece of board I'm going to use, I've clamped it down and I've measured how far away from the edge, and then what I'm going to do, that measurement, how far it's clamped, I've corresponded to this. I've made up a little jig. So now I'm just going to drill a hole big enough so I can fit this pen through it. I mean, the thing looks as good as it does now. I don't want to take any shortcuts, take my time and stuff up elsewhere on the finishing touches. You know, now at the stage where I want to get this done, and I'm sure you guys do too. There we go. So that's perfect. So now I'll just run that along, and that's going to leave a nice accurate line. There we go. So that's that section done. So guys, what I've done here, I've lined this up perfectly lined on this edge with this edge over here. And then what I've done is I've measured the gap between here and there at the widest point, which is over here. So what I'm then doing is running this along, and then I'll cut this section out, and then when I move this back over here, it should then be a perfect fit in here. So hopefully you understood that. So let me explain that again. So I've got the piece of leftover, this bit of timber I'm going to use. I placed it level with this piece here, where it's going to butt up against. I measured the distance from here to there on the widest point. And then I set that measurement on this here. And then I run the scribe, the jig that I made, all the way along this bit of timber. And then what that does is it will line up perfectly, so that way when I fit, hopefully when I fit this in here, it'll line up perfectly. So, let's go see how that fits. Perfect. I didn't show you putting the carpet on these and cutting it up, but on this bit I'm going to show you that. So let's get on to that now. So this is a marine carpet I picked up at Road Tech Marine. Clamp that down. Bond spray fix. Now I don't have a lot here, so hopefully I've got enough to finish this off, otherwise I'm going to have to do a quick run to Bunnings and get another tin. I hope not, so these are over $20 a can. Now what you got to do with this stuff, you got to wait for it to dry a bit, but you got to wait till it's tacky. So when it dries, it'll be tacky. And at that point when it's tacky, That's what I mean by tacky, is it's sticky, really sticky. So it's dry and sticky. And it doesn't take long, so it's almost there now. Same as this. So now what we do is very important, we make sure we line this up. Now we'll do the next piece. Now you want to be quick when this is ready, because I put the pretty thick coat on this. That's ready. Yeah, this will be ready. Now you want to be pretty quick when you fit these in. Make sure that is buttered up real close on that edge. That's it. Now we just put some weight on there. Now if you look at that, you wouldn't tell there's a join there, would you?
Good. Very good, Philip.
You remember I mentioned a couple more items, three items that I was going to make. One of them was a bit of a cutting board to go up this front section here so that I can pull it out a bit of the way, and I've got a bit of a table here that I can use, and there's a place here called Oakwood Sheet Metal Works. So I jumped in the car and I went out there, and they specialise in stainless steel. Drew up a quick plan while I was there, and I said to the guys, right, you know, how much can you do this for me? They said, oh, it'll be less than 50 bucks. And that's in a 1.6 stainless steel. And that includes them folding it. And the size I wanted, if I remember right, I think it was 328 wide by 400. So I told them, let's go by 328 wide by 400. I want it so it'll fold over the edge, but it has to be perfectly sized so it'll fit in between the grooves here. So you might have a hint of something in here. I've actually got one, guys, and I just went out there to pick it up. So 2 days later, early this morning, they gave me a call that it's ready to pick up, and it just fitted perfectly. And here it is. I can slide that across as I please, and then the other two accessories are yet to build are the two trays to go in here. Wow, that's not easy to peel off. Now this here, as you can see, closes, no problems at all. So what I can do when I just want a little table like so, and I want to brew up a coffee or something, as you can see, I can slide this across, and of course, as you can see, the drawer's fully, what's the word? Extended. Full extension drawer. Don't have to dig down here, and that's what I wanted. Now, as you know, these Dunn and Watson 1524mm, so there's 1524mm long. It's the longest drawer slides you can get in the Dunn and Watson range. That's in the heavy duty lockable range. It has a carrying capacity of 227 kilos, but that 227 kilos capacity is given this when the drawers are closed. So when it's fully extended, it's got that drops the carrying capacity down to 150 kilos. So guys, there's 150 kilos I can put on here if I want. I'm never going to. There's no way I'm going to put 150 kilos in here. We're going to build a couple of trays. One, a cutlery drawer, another one, just another tray for nicks and knocks. By building that inner drawer the way I did with it stepped out with that lip on there, what we thought is a small space, we've gained quite a fair bit of storage area. So I'll make it 40 centimeters long. We want a little bit of slack in there so we can easily slide that drawer. The dividers on the inside, I reckon it will be worthwhile going uptown and purchasing some 1/4 inch nice pine timber and use that for the divider. And instead of nailing it in, I'm going to glue it in. Usually, if you've got weight sitting on here, okay, so you've got something heavy sitting on here, you mount the jaws like that, then the weight is going to be pushing down, trying to pull this apart. But if you got your joints mounted like that, then in theory you're going to have less pressure as such, less chance of your drawers coming apart, because the screws are going to crow in crossways. So the screws are going to be supported lengthwise and not straight up and down where there's more chance of stripping it out. So we're going to build it out of this 12mm ply that I've got here. You've seen me plenty of time cut the timber. So the next scene I'll come back to is I'll come back with the timber cut. As I mentioned before, I've cut all the timber up without trying to drop it all, that we are going to use to make these drawers. Decide I'm going to make 3, not 1, not 2, but 3. Here's the 3 drawers, guys. This is one that I was been working on yesterday that's not quite finished yet. I put a couple of coats of varnish on it, but I need to sand it back and put a 3rd coat and possibly even a 4th coat. So that's my cutlery drawer, and these are the 2 that you've been watching me make. Internal trays. This is one that I built first. This is me cutlery tray, and I've got the other 2 that are exactly identical that I built for nicks and knacks. So let's have a look. The drawers are fully emerged, and what I love about this is no digging around at the back here. I can access this so easily. Look, straight up and down. I can look, see what it is. Not like a lot of the other drawers out there. And in fact, if I use the traditional type of drawer systems that are built, this here will probably only come out to about that far. then especially in my case with the divider here, very hard to get stuff that's right out the back. Built to fit. Like so. Absolutely perfect for the two drawers. So you can see I can slide there. And this one here, I can slide right out of the way underneath my little table that I got made up here. So now I've got access to all this stuff here, and if by any chance I want to access what's behind here, I just slide that out the way like so, and I just slide that back in whenever. I can, same as this one, slide this out the way like so. Now if I put the third drawer in, okay, you can see the third drawer's in place now, and I've still got access. I can grab stuff here and grab stuff there. Move this out the side, move this here. Actually, that's working pretty good. I'm just noticing. Now, let me move this. Okay. Now my concern was, when I mentioned I was going to make 3 trays, I thought it'd have to be 2 trays maximum, because pull this one out, I can grab stuff on this side. Pull that out if I want to get this one. Pull this one over here, get stuff on this side. That one got a bit sticky there. Not sure what happened there. Oops, my carpet's fallen out. On this part here, I did not glue the carpet down. There we go. Might have to look into doing that. But have a look at this. I put the third one in. I've still got all this space. I've still got about that much space here. So if there's something I want underneath here, slide that across right here. Something I want there, slide that across right here. Something I want over here, slide that across, gain access there. Perfect. Perfect. You can see, guys, I've actually been putting this to the test. So I've started putting some of my kitchen utensils in here, such as all my coffee gear. You can see my coffee gear, and there's an ice maker there. Now unfortunately, I don't know if we'll be able to carry all this stuff with me, so depending on where I'm going, I might have to pick and choose what I take with me, because there's only so much I can load in here. Although I do have all this storage space over here that's normally occupied by the Air Roaster Pro oven, the air fryer that I've got. So if I'm not using that, I can store a couple of these items up here, and when I want to use them, I just put them on this table here, or they sit right just here. It depends how much excess stuff I carry with me as well. Now most of the stuff I need when I'm camping is already here. I've got the bedding, it's all stored up in my rooftop tent. I've got the awning here, which is always ready to be set up. The chairs don't take up much space at all. I've even got my Safari high voltage 250 watt solar panels in the back, and I've also got an area where I can store my new 300 watt kick-ass solar panel that performs as good as the Safari 250 watt high voltage solar panel, even though the kick-ass solar panels are 12 volt. So I'm really impressed with those 12 volt kick-ass solar panels. They really perform, and they perform as well as these high voltage solar panels. So thumbs up for Kick-Ass for putting out such a great solar panel. I love it. Keep it up, guys. You're doing great stuff. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for watching right through the end. Until next time, Cheers.